Hey, what's up, guys? Sean here. And if you've been watching the news at all lately, or been on social media, stepped outside, or pretty much been anywhere than underneath of a rock over the last few weeks, you've probably heard about this little pandemic that is going on. This virus that has completely taken over the entire world and altered everybody's lives in all sorts of ways. People are scared for their health. We got people that are dying. We're now starting to face financial scares because, I live in Los Angeles and we are shut down. We're on total quarantine. And you probably might be in the same position, but basically it's sheer chaos going on. The stock market now is taking a plunge because businesses are shutting down. People are getting laid off. Hours are going down, which in turn means that people don't have money, or if they do have a little bit of money, they're scared to spend any money because they don't know if they're going to be getting any more money. And it's just sheer chaos. And so the stock markets have plunged. But this is an interesting time because now what I'm seeing, people are asking me, clients that I have, or when I go online and start looking at this, so many people are like, should I invest? Should I hold? Should I just sell and just take my losses? What do I do? So that's what this video is about. What you should be doing in this current time. Should you be buying, investing? Should you be holding? Or should you be selling your current portfolio? So let's watch, stay tuned. I'm going to talk about each one of these steps, what you should be doing based on your current scenario. But before we get started, yes, I'm going to say, smash that like button for me. It would mean the world to me. Hit the subscribe button, a little notification bell, and then let's hop into it. Okay, so what do we do? Because you got some people are like, oh no, now's the time to invest. Everything's like 80% off, 50% off. Invest now because you're gonna make a killing down the road. But the problem is it really kind of depends on your situation, because while you could take advantage of some things, this may not be the best time. So let's break this down. We're going to break down whether you should be selling, holding, or investing. So let's start with the very first one. Should you be selling? As a general rule of thumb, in a case of a recession or major plunges and stuff like that, I would say absolutely nobody should be selling if you don't have to, okay? And it can be scary because for some of you, you may have lost a lot of money recently. And if you had tens of thousands of dollars invested, hundreds of thousands of dollars invested, or honestly, even just a couple $100 invested, you may have seen your net worth, your holdings drop in half essentially overnight. And that's a super scary feeling to have, to see all this hard work, all the effort that you've done over the years, basically just get wiped away in a blimp. You're just like, wow, okay, there went that. So, but the thing you need to remember is this, is that despite what happens in a recession, things always turn around. You don't actually lose your money until you actually sell. So even though you may have lost 50%, 60%, maybe even 80% of your holdings right now, you've got to remember that eventually it will turn around. It may be a day, it may be a few weeks, a month, 6 months, a year, a decade, I don't know yet. But if you study every recession in history, what happens is it gets to a point where it finally drops and it hits the absolute rock bottom. And as long as you don't sell, eventually it starts to climb back up and you will get your money back at some point. So remember, do not sell where you're at currently, even if you're freaked out. There is one group of people that do need to sell, and that is if you have zero money, you've just lost your job, and you are at risk of not being able to feed your family, pay to keep the lights on, to keep the air conditioning running, or whatever it is, your utilities, or you might be losing your apartment or your house, then you need to be selling some of your stuff. But do not sell all of it at once. Sell in chunks. You want to try to mitigate and try to minimize the amount you've lost over this period. So what I would say is, figure out like, okay, I've lost my job. If I don't start paying, rent here pretty soon, I might be in a really bad spot. Of course, the government is kind of working on certain things where, certain states aren't allowing people to get evicted, all that stuff. But, kind of regardless, you want to sell in stages. Just give yourself maybe like a month or 2 or 3 worth of money when you sell that'll hold you for a little bit, but don't sell the whole thing. For some of you, maybe that is the whole thing. And, it's unfortunate. And I feel so terrible for you. But, let's say you do have a lot of money invested. Don't sell it all, just sell in little stages. The second is holding. Who do I think should be holding in this position? The people that should be holding are the ones who may or may not be at a potential risk for job loss, and they don't have a substantial amount of savings already built. So let's say that you haven't lost your job yet, but there could be a likelihood that either your hours get reduced or you could lose your job, and you don't have at least 3 to 6 months emergency fund in addition to the money that you're looking to invest. Now, if you do have more than a 6-month emergency fund, and outside of that you still have a big chunk of money you want to invest, this could be a really good time, because yes, the markets are down a lot, 50, 60, 70, 80% in some of these things, and there's a potential for a huge upswing as time goes on. But do not invest if you think you might be losing your job sometime soon, or let's say you're like, hey, this is the only $10,000 I have, I should invest and take advantage of it. Do not invest yet, because if you lose your job in the next week or two and you don't have any money to pay the bills, you can put yourself in a really bad situation. So if you think you might lose your job, you don't have at least 6 months emergency fund, or at least 3 to 6, just hold where you're at. I know this is a great opportunity, but at the same time, you just don't know what's going to happen. You don't want to put yourself at a lot of financial risk. Now, the last one is who should be investing. It's basically going to be everybody else. So if you think you have a pretty good job security, so even though all this is going down, maybe you're working from home remotely now, maybe you have a job where, maybe it's actually booming right now. There are some industries right now that actually have an increase in the amount of people and the influx of what is needed. So if you think you have pretty good job security, and maybe you already have 3-6 months in emergency funds, that if something were to happen, you were to lose your job, you're still plenty okay, then I would say take that amount of money that you have, you want to invest, and now is a really good time to do so, because it's going down. Now, whether or not this is a perfect time, you should wait a little bit longer, see if the market's going to dip. I do have another video about that in the description box below. I'll also kind of put up here right now. And so maybe you want to wait a little bit, maybe you just go all in, but I do have a video kind of sharing about the best strategy to make sure you maximize your profits during a time like this. But those are the people that should be investing. I hope this helped you out, kind of giving you a little bit more insight of what you should be doing. I know this is super scary times, not just on a health standpoint, because I know a lot of people are very fearful about, potentially getting this virus, or, what could happen. There's a lot of new studies, things coming out about who it affects or who can be affected. But, a lot of us are also starting to get really worried about the financial effects of this. Because let's face it, a lot of us are starting to lose our income. Income dropped dramatically. Or some people are losing their jobs. And most of us don't have a lot of money in the accounts. I was just reading this study showing that I think it was like 58% of people had $1,000 in their bank account. You guys, that's not enough. If you lose your job, and especially in a time where we're in like a major recession where a lot of places aren't hiring, you might be put in a really bad bind, and that is a scary position to be in. So make sure that if you are in that position, just do the best you can. And, I wish you the best of luck. Please leave comments below if you have any questions regarding what we spoke about or any other concerns. I'm here to help you in any way that I can. I know this is scary times. Just remind yourself that, we will figure out a way. Take some deep breaths and relax and say, hey, you know what? I'm going to get through this. And just be smart. Try not to operate too much out of fear. Always kind of come from a place of certainty and a place of abundance. Get yourself in the right mental state. We do not make very good decisions when we're in a fearful mindset. And that's hard because we are in a very scary time when so many things are happening and our lives are shifting so dramatically. So try the best you can to get a good ritual, a good routine going to put yourself in a good spot where you are full of abundance, positivity, and knowing that, like, hey, no matter what happens, I'm going to figure it out. But anyways, I wish you all the best. Thank you so much for paying attention. If you're still watching this, I really appreciate it. Smash that like button for me. Hit the subscribe button if this kind of gave you some value. Also, check out some of my other videos. I'm pushing out a lot of content to try to help people in this current situation with all the craziness going on, just to give a little more clarity, a little more insight to how to navigate through this. But we'll see you next time.